No matter what you're going through, you can take it to the Lord in prayer. And I mean that, no matter what. How do I know this? Psalm 142. This is one of the final Psalms of David in the Psalms, believe it or not. But what's really unique about this is it's a companion psalm to Psalm 57. In both Psalms, 57, 142, David is writing it from the cave where he is hiding from Saul. And we see two very different expressions of faith. In Psalm 57, David is crying out, filled with faith. He sees the cave as this place of God's provision to him. God is providing a refuge for him. God is going to conquer his enemies and restore David to community and triumph. In Psalm 142, the cave has become for David a part of the trap. He says to God that he is, in verse 2, pouring out his complaints before him, telling his troubles to God. And in verse 4, he gets to the point of despair. He says, no refuge remains to me. So within one moment, one event of David's life, he is filled with faith. This place is a place of provision from God. God is good. To there is no refuge for me. God, are you good? Am I going to die? Am I going to be overcome by my enemies? So we can see that David experiences these wild ranges of emotion and feeling, even within the same moment. Do you ever feel like that? I do. We can bring both of those things authentically to God in prayer, and David's going to show us in this psalm how to do it right. He says that, he despairs, there's no refuge for me. But then in the very next verse, verse 5, he says, I cry to you, O Lord, I say, you are my refuge, my portion in the land of the living. Attend to my cry, for I am brought very low. So in addition to being real and pouring out the real thoughts that you have in prayer, the idea is that it's always meant to bring you to God, to turn your face to God. And one of the ways that you can guard your heart and make sure you do that as you're being real and letting God into what's going on in your life, he knows anyway, is to proclaim truth to yourself and to God. And so David feels like there is no refuge, and that he's crying out the truth. God, I know you are my refuge. Would you hear me? Would you rescue me? So this is how we can pray. We can bring whatever it is you're going through. And we are at times going through incredibly broken things. I was just talking to a brother last night about a very difficult situation they're going through. And we were just talking about how really a lot of times Christians tend to want to plug their ears to that stuff and just kind of keep on the up and up and focus on the positive things. And it's almost like a form of the prosperity gospel. It's like we don't proclaim that promise God's going to give you health and wealth, but we only focus on the fact that it's just the health and wealth in my life that's going on, that's from God. And we don't like to talk about the broken things. That is not the way faith is meant to be. We are supposed to bring everything we have inside of us to God authentically in prayer, but we must anchor ourselves in truth at the same time, and we must turn towards God. David has given us just this incredible lesson through the Psalms of how to do this through all kinds of seasons of life, and you can do that today. Would you go to him in prayer, be totally real and authentic and honest with God? He knows anyway. And then anchor yourself in the truth. Proclaim the truth of the gospel to yourself. Jesus Christ walked a mile in your shoes, in frailty, in human form. He understands and empathizes anything that you're going through because of his death on the cross and resurrection. His righteousness stands before God on your behalf, so you can approach the throne with confidence, the scriptures tell us. So God, you can go to God confidently. You know he's going to hear you. He's going to empathize with you, but you must proclaim the truth that Jesus Christ says we will have trouble in this world, but he has overcome the world. So you end up preaching to yourself and you proclaim God's truth back to him. This honors the Lord, it demonstrates faith, and it is how we can pray healthfully. I hope that encourages you guys. See you next time.